Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So for this tutorial we're going to do something, as you can see, very intricate and more to do with texture work. So in this case it's leather and metal. There is some wood but very little, a bit of odd just cushioning material, and then I think this is also leather, the detailing around the harness. So I'm going to break this up into leather parts and metal parts, and then I think at the end a final detail part. I don't know how long this is going to take. As you can see, there's a lot going on. I will post the reference link, will be down in the description box. This one is from Pixabay. I decided to trace it. I was in no mood to just grid this up because this is a lot of different very intricate little details. Obviously I did it very quickly, so there'll be some cleanup through the drawing process, but yeah, so we're going to focus on the leather and metal. I'm not going to do any fur work. There is a part of the horse visible here, but I'm not going to focus on that at all. So yeah, there's a lot of not very coarse textures in some areas on the underside of the leather. There are some coarser leather texture, but the biggest thing here will be, I think actually the most fun part as well, will be all the metal reflections. I specifically chose this reference, and if you open it up you'll see the metal is very shiny. It's got a lot of reflections and contrast, and then also back here gonna work a bit on blurring those effects, which should be fun. So I have no idea how long this is gonna take. Leather generally doesn't take me very long. Majority of it's quite smooth, especially these here, but the dark leather not as much. So yeah, and then obviously in the front part of the harness as well, there's it's a very shiny form, so it's got some reflections down here and up here as well. So I think this would be a fun little texture tutorial. Like I said, I'll split up between leather and metal. That way we can kind of keep everything together, and make it a cohesive tutorial. So probably in later parts there will be certain sections that will be done more than others, or we'll skip around a little bit. So yeah, so let's get started. So I will do the leather work, and then yeah, we'll see how far we get. So the leather will include all the straps as well as this piece right here underneath the metal, and obviously the leather stitching and detail work. There's some leather, and I'll include all the other textures with the leather as well, including the material. But anything that is not part of the harness, I will not draw in this tutorial because it's just not necessary. So we are going to start, let's start on the left side. And generally with leather, start the process very much similarly, but since I've traced this out, I'm quickly gonna just take an F pencil, and even with my grit work, I clean up as I go and refine the line work as I go. So that's just what I'm gonna do here. So obviously there's things that I missed and what not. Just going to grab a bit of tracing paper. I think my hands are already dirty. So I'm just going to clean up the lines. Now you are more than welcome, because I think this is a very good exercise to grid up as well, because of all the different shapes that is present in this drawing, especially with the metal links, to be able to get that kind of pattern, that weaving pattern. It's very similar to a braiding pattern. So I think this is a good exercise if you want to also kind of give that a go. But the grid will definitely help you to recognize that pattern a lot easier and keep the proportions correct. Because I think that's the biggest problem is, yeah, you might nail the pattern, but the proportions is a little bit off. So definitely I would suggest, if you're going to do it your first time with a grid, and then it will be a lot easier to have the correct spacing, and also will help with kind of the direction of all the links and things. So, like I said, I'll ignore all the metal little bits, and we are going to do, so I'm going to keep my F pencil in hand, and now I am going to start looking at more of my shadows. And just putting it in. So for certain textures, if you watch my Labby tutorial, you would notice that for the fur, I generally go in with graphite powder first, because it's a softer texture. But with metal and leather, especially certain leather, if it's clean and it's got very strong lighting, it's got very impressive contrast. So then I just go in and put in the shadows first, and then go in with a layer of powder. So this leather is in the background, it's not as in focus. So the stitching, generally I won't bother with the stitching too much in the beginning layers, because I always still keep my layers soft, the application thereof. So it will be easy to add at a certain point, and then it's just a lot easier for me that I don't have to draw around it. But I do sometimes keep kind of the line of the stitching blank first. It also helps. So I'm just going to take a blending stump and just go through and cover all the areas. I kind of apply harder pressure to areas where there is pencil and very light pressure where there is not. That way there's still a difference in value. And obviously in areas where I did not add pencil, but there is a slight darker area, I'll just add more pressure, and that will just act as kind of a way to show difference. Just take a brush, nothing on it. Now I'm going to take an H pencil. If you don't have an H, you can go in with a 2H. And I'm just going to further fill in the areas of the leather. And this will just, I want to kind of get that smooth values, and then just blend that out with your blending stump, nothing on it. So I haven't added any actual powder to the drawing just yet. And that's why I'm using a dirtier stump as well, just because it's kind of already got the stuff on that I need. And then for the lighter areas, just very light application. And I'll take something that's not as dirty to blend that out. And you'll still be able to see the difference. And you'll just do this for the rest of the leather piece. Oopsie daisy. Just taking the brush, nothing on it, just to kind of further blend it out and add just a little bit more. Now I'm actually going in. This is a 2B pencil. And I'm going to focus mainly on the darkest areas. Now back in with my F pencil. And we could just focus more on those kind of middle range. And this is going to look very harsh in the beginning, but that's kind of the point. You're also going to use it just to blend out that 2B. Now I'm going to take a brush with some powder on it. And just go over that leather section. Now you should kind of have more of a flat application of your leather. So just gonna take my mono eraser and start adding in some of those lighter areas. That includes where the stitching is. Right, so now I'm gonna get all the other leather kind of to that place. So we're gonna take the same kind of steps with the F pencil, the H pencil, the blending, and so forth. So yeah, let's get cracking on. So first I am going to obviously just neaten everything up. And I'm just taking my F pencil to do that. Okay, so now I've gone and filled in kind of a base for all the major leather pieces. I'm going to keep the main kind of harness neck thing separate because it's a bit of a different, small flat shiny texture. So now I'm going to go in and start building up the leather to kind of get those mid-tone values correct, and then we will go to more detail to contrast and correct exposure and highlights and so forth. So I'm going to start in this kind of what I would say is kind of the main leather, and it's a different color to the rain bits. So yeah, I'm going to start here and then we'll move our way along to all the other stuff. So I'm first going to take, let me first take an HB pencil. So you can, those first layers, be as quick or as slow as you'd like. It's got nothing to do with details, so I don't want you to spend too much time on it. It's just basically to get in, because obviously with my line work I didn't put in all the kind of inner lines and little intricate stuff. So that's just also a chance to kind of start mapping the inside parts of the leather out. So yeah, kind of spend time but not too much. It's not really the most important part. So I'm going to take my HB and I'm going to start as normal in the more darker areas. And with these subsequent layers, I'm going to start being more precise, being more accurate in my application of my pencils, starting to pay more attention to the little changes in values, the little leather details. Okay, so now I'm gonna take my F pencil, just give it a sharpen. Just gonna kind of work over the areas where I took the HB pencil. Obviously I break this down a lot and move around, but you can take that HB pencil and kind of apply that to all the leather if you want to do things finish the step first and then move along. But I unfortunately jump around a lot, so I will tend to go back to the HB again, maybe even a B, but that's just how I tend to work. And the F pencil is just, it doesn't have that really dark punch that the HB has. So I'm just using it to fill in the gaps even more. And at first it's gonna look flat and very samesies, or yeah, just flat, but that's the whole point in those kind of middle layers. I'm just going to take a blending stump and just blend over that pencil areas. Again, you can continue along with that F pencil over the entire leather parts. This is just my 2H pencil, and I'm just going to kind of continue that same theme of just filling in the area even more. And just take your blending stump and just blend over top. Also going to just take the 2H to define the edge even more. Because in this kind of initial layer process, the edges become a bit fuzzy. So I just like to take an H range pencil because it has a nice hard sharp point, and then just use that to define the edges as well. While I'm at it, I'm also just going to use it to further fill in these areas. Take a blending stump, just blend it, make it look even and smooth. Even for leather like this one here, that's very worn, it's got a lot of textural details. I would prefer to make the values flat first and get it correct, and then add the textural details, because that way you do know the values are correct and you don't need to work around things to get it where it's supposed to be. This is just my F pencil. It's still nice and sharp, so I'm just also using that to define the edges and the little shadows and different straps. All these parts are escaping me, so you're just gonna have to do with thing and whatever. And this is a very highlighted area, but I am gonna fill it in anyways because it's a lot easier with these softer layers to take away. It's not too difficult. F pencil. Very light pressure in these areas because the layers are still, I don't want to say shallow, but still in the process of being built up. These lighter pencils will still pack a real punch. Then I'm just going to take a brush, it's got nothing on it, and I'm just going to go over those areas. I'll just take my little mono eraser. It's still very light pressure. Its layers aren't heavily applied, so it doesn't take much to remove them. So I'm just going to go around and kind of start adding areas where we're going to start having little subtle differences in values. And very light pressure here. I don't want it to go completely white and remove everything. That's not the point. As the depth increases to the area surrounding it, it will start to look white in contrast. And we've obviously got to understand that the metal also needs to be able to play off of it. So, not necessarily to remove everything. F pencil. Oh no, this is it. 2H. I want an F. 2H pencil. And just blend that out. 2H pencil again. Right, so now I'm going to use these pencils, the F, the H, the 2H, the blending stump, the mono eraser, over the entire, all the leather straps, and continue kind of bringing it to a more in focus layer type thing. And then once we've done that to all the leather straps, we'll go and add another layer, which is more where we'll focus more on the details and starting to put in those textural elements. Right, okay, so we've gone now and through and added like 2 layers to this, and I'm quite satisfied with how that went. So in the next video I don't want to add the metal. To me, I find it a lot easier if I've got something to work it off of. So in the next part we'll be working on all the other bits and pieces, especially this large part of the harness, and then if that goes quickly, I'll do the metal in that part as well, and then I'll get everything to kind of that 2-3 layer mark, and then we'll move on to final detail work. So these first layers are quite simple. It's not supposed to be very time consuming, it's not supposed to be a lot of effort, and it's not supposed to be very precise. The real grunt work obviously comes in refining of the details, and obviously once you've got the majority of your work to that 2-3 layer mark, you can start using it to judge your values of all the parts of the drawing. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that and saw that it was quite simple, really. And then I will see you in the next video where we tackle the rest of the drawing and then move on to the metal, and then obviously it will be I wouldn't say final detail work, but like those last layers, and then a final detail work video. So yeah, happy drawing, and then I'll see you all for the next one. Cheers!